Dude.
You gotta have some variety with the underwear, man.
Hey, man, I've got like 30, one for each day of the week. Hey, you got to have a signature move. There's my signature move. Ryan, thanks for throwing another one in there, buddy. We appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. We are back for another edition of Talk Around Town. Savor the flavor because we're getting back to the regular deal here pretty soon. But I am joined by Jayme Hollingsworth. Welcome. And Martin Marroquin. Welcome. Welcome, guys. Good to have you.
Glad to be back on another Sunday.
Absolutely. We made it to another Sunday, so that's a win. That's a big, giant W in my book. What y'all been up to this week? Anything good? No more vacations? They're all over with?
No more vacations this week. I was a little more laid back. A lot of rain this week. Took the wife back to school shopping. She's a school nurse, so it's her time of the year. It kicks back in a couple of weeks, so I had to get her right. And, hey, it's almost here.
Got to get them cool big-ass nurse shoes.
Yeah.
Do they still wear those?
No.
Oh, man.
No, she's styling, man. I got her hooked up. Nike Vomeros. You'll probably see a lot of coaches wearing those on the sidelines. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hokas?
Hokas are nice, but I had to get her right. Vomeros seem to be where it's at right now.
Sorry,
Martin, how you doing?
But I got to ask you a question, Jayme. If you weren't doing the big poppy where you were shaving the mustache, would your mustache line up with the color in your goatee?
Yeah. It's actually a little bit more red, but yeah, it's close.
But that line?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I just now noticed that actually.
You should just go for it. Yeah.
I think it's time for me to go with the what's the guy that used to be the point guard for the New York Knicks? Now he's a commentator.
Walt Frazier?
Yeah, I think I need to go with the Walt Frazier and just dye it every single day. Or the Ryan Day for Ohio State. I think it's time.
Ooh,
Carlos Boozer for the beard.
Yes. Hey, shout out to LeBron. He finally gave it up. He's bald now, and
he came home, as Bomani Jones says.
Yes,
it was time.
No more spray paint.
Nope.
Oh man,
not until the season starts, at least.
Well, true. He's got to find a new team before he can paint his hair.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm sure he's having a hard time doing that.
Yeah.
You got to be able to, you got to drag it out as long as possible. So, he can keep his look at me card held up way above his head.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's our fault though. We've been paying attention to this guy since he was 13 years old. So,
well, ESPN especially. I mean, what would ESPN do? You think they'd actually go back to covering basketball if they didn't have LeBron to talk about?
Right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting once he retires. Because I don't see him being like a color commentator or analyst kind of guy.
No, I think if anything, he'll be an owner. I think he wants to get that team in Las Vegas.
Oh, he's going to have a podcast, dude. I mean, that's just
he kind of already does, or he has like that HBO show, The Shop.
Right.
True.
It's kind of a podcast, I guess. It's the same realm, but
I guess he had one with his coach there for a while.
Before he was his coach.
Yeah.
The family went to see Minions and Monsters yesterday because we went to see Toy Story 5, and the Minions and Monsters trailer came on, and Quinn was super excited about it. So, of course, it gave her nightmares. Last night she couldn't sleep by herself because of the monsters from the Minions and Monsters movie. So I guess we learned our lesson there, but she loved the movie. Just, I guess some of that stuff didn't leave her brain when it was bedtime.
Nice. My wife and her mom took my niece and nephew, I guess it was last week, to see that as well. And I went to Jackass. So I think I was the only. Yeah, I was the only person in the theater for Jackass.
Nice. Nice.
That's crazy. It's crazy that they're still doing it. How are those guys not like?
They're old. It was mostly just highlights from the old stuff, and then every once in a while they'd throw in something new. But yeah, I think it was
Just
for
the
sure
most
their last
Jerry
one.
Group of 40-year-olds, like
Yes, yeah, they've seen better days for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. With the World Cup over, I can't wait for football season to start. Man, me too. I'm sad. I'm sad to see the World Cup go. I mean, I look forward to it, and I've been looking forward to this because it was the perfect kind of carry you through the summer situation. Because we had everything planned out up to the draft, go through all that stuff, got the World Cup coming. That goes on. That's going to distract us for a while, and it turned out to be a great freaking World Cup. And now we do the last few weeks, and then camp be fired up here pretty soon. Did y'all get a chance to watch any of that final today?
Yeah, that's by far the most soccer that I've watched in my entire life was the World Cup. My wife and I both we actually thoroughly enjoyed watching it, learning so much about it, getting disappointed with offsides and not knowing what a foul is on either team. I still don't know what a foul is on either team.
Good, because neither do the refs.
Yeah.
Neither do nobody really knows what a foul. I mean,
It's so
everything's a foul, but
subjective.
nothing's a foul. It's
Yeah.
the Schrodinger's foul.
But we thoroughly enjoyed learning more about it, watching it until the very end. And then Summer League also kept us intrigued this year just because it seems like every single game a U of H guy's playing, which is nice to have.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
right now, Golden State just tipped off. LJ's got 5 of their 6 points to start the game. So
Started off hot. Got to start off hot.
Jayme,
Yeah,
you
it
should
was-
probably look into finding a Premier League team because I think basketball and soccer have some similarities that would make you enjoy it long term.
yeah, I'm definitely. I'm gonna have to get with Brad. He's the he'll lead me in the right direction on who to follow. So
Yeah, well, I'm not going to tell you who to follow, but you're not allowed to follow Manchester City. I think on top of that, we can deal with pretty much anything else. You probably want to follow who's going to be out of the league this year. Follow Tottenham. Law Dog Probst got a good laugh out of that, I know.
nice.
But man, it's sad to see Messi. I wanted him to win. I mean, Argentina, I really don't care either one. I'm a Messi fan.
Yeah,
And because it's got to be his last,
for sure.
I mean, I can't. I don't think you could see the skill is still there, the technical ability is still there, but the speed and explosiveness is off a little bit. Now he's probably better than what they could put out there, but I don't want to see him kind of fade
Michael
in
Jordan,
front of our eyes.
Michael Jordan on the Wizards.
Yeah. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him do that. I don't want to see him be like Cristiano and go from some alleged goat to straight up donkey. Just go out on top, be the king, and just do what he's got to do. But he'll probably come back. He'll probably finish the season in the MLS this year. So I mean, that's more chances to watch him.
Well, yeah,
but
they're
I mean,
still paying him. So
I was excited that I got to see him and Jordan in their primes and watched them closely. So I mean, that's about all I could ask for as far as being a fan of sport. Oh, and also Wayne Gretzky. Sorry, Ovechkin. Gretzky's still the greatest.
Yes.
But seeing those three guys that transcended their sport and played at a level as long as they played, as great as they played, it's just unreal. I mean, it's they changed their games dramatically, and they became more than a game.
Yeah. Those two, Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Big time watching him in his prime.
Yeah.
Trying to think of others.
Dizzy, good evening, guys. Good evening to you, Dizzy. Thanks for
What's up,
coming
Dizzy?
back. We do appreciate it. We got football around the corner, then pretty soon it's basketball around the corner. I tell you what, man, once August gets here, next thing you know, you look up, it's going to be May again, and we're going to say, where'd y'all go?
Right.
I'm warning y'all too right now. That's what happens as you start getting old, man.
I'm starting to feel it.
Summers last forever because summers begin to suck. But then the stuff you're looking forward to is gone in a second.
Right.
No, I know I'm old because I start to do shouldn't you be in school in June and July? So no, they shouldn't be in school. They get a break.
Yes. Yeah. Well, first off, before we kick into everything, I want to thank the Ritz. Everybody, head on down to the Ritz. Go grab you a little drink here. Go take advantage of the drink specials, lunch specials, dinner, everything you could possibly imagine. You got it down there. We appreciate all their support. Make sure you go visit Section 12X. Wear your gear down there, man. You gotta rep. You gotta look good. You know, where else are you gonna do it? And also Star Pizza. Make sure you go grab that buffet. Hopefully some people got to take advantage of that 7-1 3-day special, which is fantastic. It was pouring rain here, and I wasn't able to get out, so I just got them to deliver instead. So, you know, I didn't get the discount. I paid the full price, and it was more than worth it.
Nice.
Well, let's get into it. We're going to take a look at the offense this week. It's a preview. We can call it a preview, whatever we want. We just want to talk about what it's looking like going into camp. You know, everything changes once camp starts. But this is our best estimate of what the 2-3 deep is going to look like. And we just want to talk through that, and anybody's got any questions, definitely hit us up in the chat. We'll definitely get to them. But Martin, let's get it going, man. You frozen?
Yeah, I mean, we'll start with where everybody's going to want to start. Let's start at quarterback.
Yeah,
probably. I heard like a little bit of feedback, so I don't know if I'm moving now, but
yes, you are.
So let's start at the quarterback. I don't know what the exact number was, but essentially there's a handful of teams that have returning starting quarterback, head coach, OC, and Houston is one of them. So that continuity in itself is a big deal. You just won 10 games, and everybody important is coming back. So great start there. Got to be happy with that. Connor Wigman's first opportunity to play a full season healthy and be the starter, and he was certainly a floor raiser. You know, bowl game wasn't out of the realm of possibility, having that conversation at this time last year, and they won 10 games, including beating LSU in the Texas Bowl. So I'd say you have to be as happy with that as any other result. I don't know that you could have predicted better than that. Sober. But, you know, he didn't put up like Heisman Trophy winning numbers. He didn't put up, especially in the realm and in reference to what Houston has had at quarterback, record breaking numbers, but he was as efficient as you could hope he would be. And he ran the offense, I think, as well as you again could hope. With all the questions, first year OC, his first year OC in the sense of being with him, Slade Nagel. First year for
another
Wegman,
new offense.
Right. First year for Wegman, hit back home in Houston after, you know, unfortunately just a failed attempt at A&M. It just didn't work out. Good for Houston though, and him. And you know, they had a limited number of targets as far as for him to throw to in the grand scheme of things, how things worked out. You know, Stephon Johnson Boogie went down, unfortunately for him, halfway through the year. And then, you know, we had some high hopes for a few guys coming into the transfer portal. And Tanner Koziel obviously was number one on the list of this is probably somebody that's going to be noteworthy. And then Amari Thomas was in the conversation, Harvey Broussard, and Amari Thomas and Tanner Kojo couldn't have performed any better. And they, Wigman made the most of the opportunities he had with them, and they destroyed the middle of the field. And, I'll get into more of this later, but something to note, PFF tracks average depth of target. And that's essentially every time you throw the ball, how far are you attempting to throw it downfield? In layman's terms, as if that wasn't, easy enough to understand. But last year, or 2024, with a combination of Chris Vermillion and Donnie Smith, the average depth of target was about 6.5. And if you look at, Connor Wigman had just over 350 attempts last year. So of the 83 quarterbacks with 350 attempts last year, that number from those two would have been the worst in the country in terms of depth of target, meaning the ball wasn't getting pushed downfield. The offense wasn't moving. All that showed in the offense, the year before that. Connor last year was about 8.9 average depth of target. So that's only 2.5 yards further downfield. But in context, that puts him at about 43 out of the 83. So he's about middle of the pack. He's about the average. And you see that in itself, the floor being raised to what the offense did with him at the helm. Again, new offensive coordinator. It wasn't just as simple as a new quarterback, but that new quarterback made a big difference. And it was the reason that the offense went the way that it did. And, we'll get into the offensive line also later, but something that stood out to me when I was going back and looking through some of the numbers, as football is evolving, things like sacks are turning into quarterback stats. It used to just be if you got sacked or the O-line didn't protect the guy, or, it was the O-line's fault. It was pretty cut and dry. But now it's kind of the modern approach to it is, well, quarterbacks are taking sacks. They're getting sacked. There are times there's a bull rush or a guy just fails his assignment. Of course, that was on him. But for the most part, you can deduce that a quarterback is allowing himself to get sacked or putting himself in bad positions.
I would call that the Shador Sanders rule.
That's a good example. It's a great example.
Yeah.
It's no surprise that all of a sudden they're going to start tracking that after he comes through. It's like, well, their offensive line was so terrible they gave up 35 sacks. It's like because he's back there flicking the ball around and not getting rid of the football.
Yeah.
For sure. Sometimes it can be good, right? Like Voldemort that used to play quarterback for the Texans. He had a tendency to hold the ball, but he could, extend the play and run with it, make plays, make things happen downfield before, he died in that horrible accident. But moving on to Connor Wigman, if you look at like they track pressure to sack percentage. So how often you get pressured and how often it turns into a sack. Of those I'm just going to use this of the 83 guys because Connor was at about 356 attempts wise. So of those guys around the country, the entire country, anybody that threw at least 350 passes, he was in the top quarter of being able to evade pressure, throw the ball away, get the ball out quick enough. 14% of his pressures turn into sacks. For reference, if you look at guys like Carson Beck, amazing O-line at Miami, he was pressured 89 times across the season, which is the lowest number of anybody. And he was sacked 16 times, which is about 18%. Connor was pressured 135 times and turned that into just 19 sacks. So he did a good job of throwing the ball away, like I said, getting it out quick, finding guys. And that's a big deal for just running an offense. So, he maximized what they had, to perform with, not to make it seem like they were bottom of the barrel players. Amari Thomas is going to be a draft pick. Tanner Kojo was a draft pick, right? There are good players around him, but everybody had the feeling that the O-line was going to struggle, and there were some struggles there because it's 5 guys that met at the beginning of the season, and that's the hardest thing for them to do is build that continuity. So having Connor Wigman be able to run the offense, get away from sacks, push the ball downfield, it made a huge difference. You could really see how things operated, at a much higher clip.
Yeah, and a lot of the beatings that he took and a lot of the struggles that he might have had early on, I think that turned out to be a good thing for him in that it really forced him to make quick decisions and get the ball out fast. That instead of going back there and instead of going back and trying to, okay, I'm going to watch this route develop. I'm going to watch this route develop, and I'm going to check to my backside, and I'm going to hit this guy in the middle. You didn't have time for that. It's 1-2, get it gone. And early on in the season, one thing that I was kind of tracking in real time was how long it was taking him to get rid of the ball. And I think after the Texas Tech game, all of a sudden, all of them started being like under 2 seconds, like 1.5 to 1.7. So he was getting rid of the football, and we were starting to move the football a little bit. Because you just didn't, with that offensive line, you didn't have the luxury of really kind of settling into the pocket. It was 1-2 go.
Yeah.
And it's either throw it or run. You got to do something because you're going to get hit.
Yep.
Yeah. And, that's another stat that I looked at. He was 2.7 seconds his time to throw from snap to getting rid of it. And that puts him, again, top third of the country. 27th out of the 83 guys. That doesn't seem as good as like the NFL, right? But there's way more quarterbacks throwing the ball in college football. So it's puts him in a pretty good company, being the top third of something, of whatever it may be. And that kind of efficiency stuff, that kind of getting rid of the ball, making a quick decision. A lot of, there could be some like the system kind of just operates that way, but it's kind of a magician of the wand thing. You still have to be able to do it. Like, Slade Nagel can draw.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Slade Nagel can draw up all the best plays in the world, and
right.
It can be there. But Connor still got to do it, and he did.
Well, and you've got to be able to make quick, wise decisions. I mean, that's first and foremost. But you've got to have a little bit of time from your offensive line, and your receivers got to find a way to get a clean release and get to where they need to be able to catch the ball. Because if you're not getting off the line, then you're immediately out of the play because they ain't got time to wait for you to get over there and jack around.
No. And that showed time and time again that they were all on the same page and they knew what they wanted to get done and they did. Again, he was efficient. He raised the floor of the offense just by showing up. And then Tanner Kojal and Amari Thomas were everything you could have hoped for.
Right.
And, they really got things moving. Something that I don't think we're going to see anything close to is PFF tracks running for quarterbacks a little differently. Generally, if you get sacked, it's a rushing attempt and it takes away from your rushing yards. So
right.
For quarterbacks, PFF takes basically any intent to run, whether it's a scramble or like an obvious design play. And they take those attempts and then that yardage, and that's how they grade you as a runner, because getting sacked isn't, a run play.
Right.
But so he had 163 attempts where he intended to run and the offense was calling for him to run. That is a bananas number for Connor Wigman to run. Coming into the season, if you told me he had 100 rushing attempts, I would have thought that was nuts. And I was high on him as a runner and his ability, and I thought he was underutilized. But I
didn't want to see him run at all because I wanted him to stay healthy.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. So, but
he's just a dog, man. That's just what he does.
It was great that he was able to.
I didn't know that about it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really did other than him and the people close to him. That he didn't get the chance to show it, but
right.
I might be talking out of turn because I don't have the exact numbers, but I'm sure there were like fourth and shorts very regularly that they were asking him to run it. In the goal line, it was very obvious that he was getting the ball and they were going to run with him. And
and they weren't just like quarterback sneaks and tush push. It was more like power. A Tebow power formation.
Yeah. And
he really did kind of play a Tebow role as a quarterback last year.
Except for he could, accurately throw a football. But yes, 100%.
True. Hey, Tebow was good in college.
He was incredible in college. I'm not doubting that. He was one of the best college football players ever. But, it just didn't work out for him in the pros. But anyway.
Hey, man, pro football is a different game, man. That's a different game.
I
It's like
still
the
contend
NBA. Those are different games, dude.
I think he should have played linebacker. I think he would have been a Hall of Fame linebacker, but I get why you don't take the ball out of that guy's hands.
Oh yeah.
You think he's a top 5, top 10? Where do y'all think he ranks all time as a college football player?
Oh,
Tebow, I
definitely
think,
top
is
10.
easily top 10 as far as just body of work. I mean,
top 5. There's an argument for it. I mean, he's one of the best I've ever seen, and I hated it because I didn't like him in college. I didn't like him. Because he was too. He was just too good. I mean, that Florida team was just too good.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
turns out he was truly like Jesus and his terrible acting disciples. Just so many stories behind that team, man. It's like it puts Miami to shame in terms of like the chaos out,
Yeah.
But
it was like Miami and old Barry Switzer OU, except they had a clean image.
yeah.
Somehow they got a clean image out of that. You were able to wash away a lot with Tebow as the face of the program.
Kind of like baptizing, the eyes of people watching. But yeah, I mean, Wigman's rushing ability was a welcome sight. Unfortunately, Ray went down for the year, and it seemed like he was going to be the guy in the backfield. But it may have been that Wigman would have been asked to do what he did anyway, just by virtue of that's how the ball moved. That's what that's the extra blocker, whatever it was that made it work. And yeah, I don't envision him getting near that level of carries because I'm not a betting man. I've never made a bet, but I would bet a lot of money that Mekhi Hughes is going to have 250 carries again playing for Slade Nagel and Willie Fritz. His 2 years in Tulane as a starter, he was over 250. So I think that's a safe bet, and you'd be happy to give it to him that many times if he can do it.
And we will, at some point, I'm guaranteed we will see Keyshawn Henderson. So let's not worry about that. I hope we get a blowout, or I hope we get some snaps with Keyshawn, but I hope we get a blowout good enough where we can get Sock in there a couple of times just in case.
Yeah.
Or whoever emerges as the third string. And I want to make sure I make state up front. None of this is set in stone. All of this will change, and you'll see various forms of this. Anybody whose name is not on this list was not intentional. It's just what I kind of had room for without getting too cluttered. And these were the more what I think going into pre-camp and what Martin and Ryan and kind of the consensus of what we think is a realistic look at guys you're going to see kind of the top of the call sheet.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, we can get into Keyshawn now, unless you guys have more comments about Wigman.
No, I think I'm looking forward to it, man. He proved he didn't just surprise me. I knew he was talented. But I didn't know he was that kind of guy, meaning that he was just such a strong presence, just a straight up dog out there on the field. I think last year he answered the one thing that I need from a quarterback, and this kind of gets into a Bill Parcells type mentality of, I don't need quarterbacks to win me every game. I need them to not lose games for me. And he did that. He played extremely well. And then whenever you needed him to make some plays, he made some plays. And you learn to be, if you can be a game manager, you can play at every level, because eventually you're going to have enough things around you to where your real talent can shine. And then you can go be the playmaker. But you always fall back to that, like you're talking about, the high floor of being able to manage the game first and foremost.
Yeah. I mean, the Seahawks this past year winning the Super Bowl, I think, is a good example of that. Sam Darnold kind of bounced around the league, and then you have the Seahawks did a good job. They're a great organization. They established a team where you just had to have a quarterback come in and not lose the game. I mean,
of course, Joe Flacco made a made it a career of it.
Yeah, and they exceed
Or you could be like
expectations.
Dak Prescott and just.
I think Dak gets a bad rap. He's a very good quarterback.
He's an extremely talented quarterback. So was Tony Romo, but they helped lose as many games as they helped win. It seemed like.
Yeah,
It seemed to make big bonehead plays. Wrong time.
Y'all are more football guys than I am, but just from my observations, like I think this year was an exception with Darnold. Great defense, could run the ball, great wide receiver with JSN. But Martin, what's your thoughts? I've always thought NFL, you needed a great quarterback to win the Super Bowl. College, you need a great head coach to win a national championship. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, especially if your head coach can recruit more than anything. Yeah. That's just, injecting talent into a college football program is going to get you there. Yeah, I mean, everybody's goal in the NFL is to find the guy, right? The quarterback that you're going to pay money for the next 15 to 20 years and not feel bad about it, regardless of what the number is, because you're going to have a chance to win the Super Bowl. Everybody hopes that they can draft Mahomes. But I think what Seattle did is the more logical route, because there are more offensive linemen. There are more receivers. There's running backs. There's the other positions, right? There's more of those guys to find and put together. There's not even 32 quarterbacks that could win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And there's 32 starting NFL quarterbacks. So I think, the goal is when you draft a guy, you don't have any questions about him and you feel good moving forward. But I think Seattle's route is the most logical, and maybe my nerd brain and how I view these things is why. But draft picks are so valuable, and you want to hit on every one, and it's a better chance you're going to hit on one that isn't a quarterback. So I think you establish the team, and then once you're certain it's ready to go, as long as you get an average quarterback, then you go get whether it's like there's the argument that if Houston had Baker Mayfield last year, they won the Super Bowl, and Baker's in like that mid to slightly higher tier of quarterback. I'm a big fan of his, but that's relative to Mahomes and those guys. Sure, he's in a tier beneath them at least. And again, Houston's a good example. If CJ Stroud just showed up and did the average, they're probably Super Bowl champions. And that's because they have a very good team around them. I just think you're more likely to build a good team and then catch lightning in a bottle with somebody like Sam Darnold than you are draft Matt Stafford or Pat Mahomes or, even Dak Prescott. They got lucky to get him in the fourth round. So,
right.
Well, let's go on to running backs, because we got a wealth of. This is weird. I mean, I find myself saying really weird shit that I didn't think I was going to be saying in year 3 of the Willie Fritz era. We got a lot of talent. I mean, I was told that we can't amass a lot of talent because we just don't have enough money. But man, I look at this, especially in the skilled positions, man, we've got some dudes. Yeah. And running back has become really, really, really interesting.
Yeah. Before I get into running back, I do want to mention that about Keyshawn. I thought, with the old eligibility rules, maybe they would take it slow and try to redshirt him. But after seeing them in person, he's quarterback too. Whether he had a red shirt to burn or not, he's quarterback too. And I think especially now with the 5-for-5 rule, we're going to see him on the field.
Right.
More likely he's going to get work in a game that's won and away, where he gets to run the offense a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be crazy to see him goal line packages, maybe him and Connor on the field so they can confuse the defense, that kind of stuff. He's going to get opportunities. And they obviously see him as a true quarterback, so he's going to get chances to throw the ball because he can play in every game. He's got 5 years to play college football. So right. All that, taking it easy with him stuff is out of the window with any of these guys. Mm-hmm. And I think that 5-for-5 rule, that's where you see the benefit of it is you can get this guy work without having to be concerned about losing a year. So,
Right.
Yeah, he's quarterback 2. I don't think there's a question. Luke Carney is probably 3. But Jake Sock has been here since I had a job, and before that, I think so. He's comfortable on campus, and maybe he gets a shot.
Man, you gotta have that on a roster. I mean, that I can't tell you how far that goes. Is having some veterans who have been around, guys who have been around the game for a while.
Yeah,
Martin, what's the one thing you think would surprise people about watching Keyshawn play?
that he can throw the ball well.
Yes, that's exactly what I was. The game that I went, and I just got done watching the quarterback series on Netflix, and they had the kid out of Miami, Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And every time he throws a ball in practice, he yells "seed" because he throws just a perfect hard throw. Dude, Keyshawn's he can put some stuff on the ball. He throws it hard. And that kind of surprised me a little bit because going into the game, all I had heard was he was an athlete turned quarterback. So I was just thinking run, run, run. Dude, he can throw.
Yeah, he can sling it. I mean, he has, the physics of having long limbs and being able to whip his arm and push the ball downfield. And it's not, he's got arm strength. Obviously, he's a great athlete, and that's going to translate to doing certain things like that well. But no, he's a quarterback. He's a quarterback who can do the athletic stuff. I think in the past he played receiver because he was the younger guy versus the quarterback that they had was getting the opportunity. But that's just because he's such a good athlete. It's not because he can't throw the ball. Things have happened and people have been wrong, but you're generally not the number one player in the country as a quarterback if you can't throw the ball. So I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised to see some of the balls and some of the throws he can make.
I mean, I was watching him play last year on video, and then also going through his clips and whatnot, and his arm strength, everything that looked great. The thing that stood out to me first was his feet. Whenever he goes to throw, is that his feet are under him, his feet are with him the entire time, and it's not just throwing pure arm strength. Because I mean, then you're talking about somebody with a really good arm that a lot of times you can get into bad habits because you do have a great arm. That means your feet might be a little bit slow, which is going to change your release. It's going to change your release point. Ball can go anywhere. DJ that way. So his feet were the first thing that stood out to me. It's like, man, this guy's been coached well. This guy's got it put together. He's not getting by on pure talent. He's got pure talent on top of solid fundamentals.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I think, bright future for him and the team, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so running backs.
So, we talked about him a little bit to this point, but Mekhi Hughes coming in from, a vacation year at Oregon, weird situation. He didn't really play there, but it wasn't for lack of talent. I mean, he is still a very good player. Just because I was curious, I looked up his current draft stock, and it's not accurate to the player he is. It's like UDFA or late round pick, and I think that's just a reflection of the fact that he didn't play last year and he had single digit carries or double digit carries or some low number. That was a situation where he transferred to Oregon because his younger, I believe half brother, whatever the exact relation, his younger brother chose Oregon and he wanted to go play with him. Naeem offered, I believe, very good player. But it just didn't work out for Mekhi, so he kind of just sat the year out as to not, have a weird injury or something, and knew he was going to move on. So it's just a redshirt year.
I'll say this: it's a blessing for us that he didn't, because if he was out there getting a lot of snaps and kind of in the rotation, but wanted to transfer to be a feature guy, we wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah. No.
I mean, we just got it. We got a stud that basically is coming home to the coaching staff that he left.
Yeah. The thing that stood out to me, seeing him in person, standing next to like Ray Sanford. Ray's not small, but he's a smaller football player, I guess, but like relative to the earth, he's not like a tiny guy. And I argue Ray Sanford is the strongest guy in the locker room pound for pound, but I've heard it's Shadre Hurst. I won't let facts get in the way of what I want to be
that's
true.
saying a lot, man. I've seen Sanford throwing around some weight.
Yeah, man. But Makai's back was like 2 of Ray, like how wide he is. he just is big. He's listed at 6'2", 210, and outside of him, it's Zane Smith and Steve Polk that are over 200 pounds. So he's different in the sense that he's the kind of back that can take a bruising over the length of a season.
Right.
He can have some of those short yardage carries in the goal line that you don't have to ask Wigman to do. You can do more traditional sense and maybe even work play action off of that because, you can't really run play action when the quarterback's the guy running the ball. Makes it less believable.
Right.
So, that kind of opens things up just by virtue of him being present and at his size. But, we'll talk a little bit about the numbers. His 2 years as a starter at Tulane, he was top 10 in the country in carries and yards. He averaged 5.3 yards a carry over those 2 years, and he had almost, just over 2,700 yards in 28 games. So he was almost at 100 yards a game, and had 22 touchdowns. So you're getting production. You're getting a guy that carried the ball 250 times in back-to-back years, and now he's been rested, so he can probably easily do it again. He only the first year in 23 was his year with Coach Fritz and Slade Nagel, and then he played for John Summerall in 24. But that second year is just proof that he can do it again for a different coach. And then he's done it not only with the coaches here, but Shadre Hurst was also helping him pave the way for some of those big runs.
Right.
And I think he brings talent that the team hasn't had in a while at the position. Brad, we were talking about how far back we don't really know. It's just it's pretty far back.
I kept scrolling back, and the comps I look at. Well, I mean, let's just think about it. The guys that we remember, the guys that had pretty big years. Parker Jenkins was the last one. Alton McCaskill before that, and those guys were 800, 900-yard rushers.
Yeah.
But then you go to Kenneth Farrow. And then you go start looking even further. Then you got Bryce Bell as a freshman, monster. He was one of my favorite running backs here of all time because he went from linebacker in high school to running back here and became a star as a freshman. And then, it got less and less after that. But we were also throwing the ball more and more. And then we got Charles Sims, and we had Michael P.S. Hayes. And so he was splitting carries. We were running basically a 3-headed monster out of the backfield with 3 guys who could do 3 different things, which we're kind of working our way into finding with this running back group too. But then before that, you got to go back to Jackie Battle and Ulrich. Of guys who were just monsters in the backfield. I think we're at that spot again where we've got a every down dude who can flat out tote the rock.
Yeah.
What's she saying? She agrees.
Yeah, she said, "Bye, I'm going to bed." It's no slight to McCaskill as a freshman. Brad, we talked about it earlier. The expectation was he was just going to continue to develop and become a great back. Things didn't work out that way. Parker Jenkins, it was a 4-star coming out of high school, but I just think Mekhi Hughes is different. In frame and in what he's able to do. He's a throwback running back in the sense that they give him the ball 250 times in a season. And that still happens in college, but this is what I remember in the 90s growing up.
Think of this.
Running back is the guy.
Think of this. He was doing it at Tulane. Now, Tulane today, people who have been paying attention, they see Tulane as something completely different. But before that, before Willie got there, and even in the first few years of Willie's tenure, Tulane was not good, and they couldn't get players. They were. Well, you remember. Well, I think we all remember how SMU used to be. They were in the same way.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't get talent, and then all of a sudden, on paper, they weren't getting talent, but all of a sudden they are really, really talented. It's like, how are these guys doing this? When they were beating us, Dana, I was like, how the hell are they doing this? I thought we were recruiting. I thought we were supposed to be recruiting good. Well, maybe that coach is pretty damn good.
Yeah. So, that'll be different running back wise, in that there's a guy who has done it before and is going to have every opportunity to do it again here. And, I remember late 90s Titans with Eddie George and Jeff Fisher, and they came out of halftime and they asked Jeff, they asked the head coach, Jeff Fisher, what's the game plan? How are you going to adjust? And he looked at the interviewer and was like, Eddie George. Like, we're going to give it to Eddie George. Then we're going to see how things turn out. I just think he's going to be a true bell cow back, and it's going to be exciting, and he might end up with another 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns this year for them. And that's a big deal for continuing to allow Weigman to dice things up and be efficient. And, if you can't sit on one thing, it helps you out. You don't have to play with an arm time behind your back. Not that they did that last year, but just generally that's where you want to be. Now, outside of him, there are questions in terms of production and experience, but not talent. Ray Sanford unfortunately dealt with another injury last year where he missed the year. But I would guess he is in line for, second getting carries at running back 2. And then you have DJ Butler, he's returning the most carries from last year with 68. And then after him, it's Zane Smith, who got 2 carries. But, between Ray and DJ Butler, they're going to get their opportunities after Mackay. And then Jaysean Ridgel, and you have your incoming freshman with, John Hebert and Paris Melvin, I think, is going to get some opportunities there as well. It'll be interesting to see how they do it. I think there's going to be a lot of, obviously not a fullback because that's not really a thing anymore, but it'll be Hughes in the backfield by himself, and he'll get a lot of work, but you'll have opportunities to have two backs there with Weigman, whether it's Stanford and Hughes, who kind of complement each other really well. That's how you'll get guys like Aber on the field once he's ready. He showed up late. He wasn't able to report in spring like most of the other guys. A lot of times that private school curriculum kind of gets in the way of getting out of high school early. But there's depth there. That's going to be the theme of what we talk about with the offense, and especially at skill position. You have 2 5-star quarterbacks. But thankfully you at least have the depth. So if things happen, you have guys. But you have Ray, like we said, just going down the list. So it'll be Mackay Hughes, number 1, Ray, Jaysean Ridgel, John Aber, DJ Butler, and Paris. And that's quite a bit of, players. That's a lot of bodies that you're trusting in, talent wise, and it's a good place to be in the running back room.
I'm really looking forward to Sanford getting back on the field. I think he's just a guy who can make plays. I would love to. Oh, good Lord willing, the offensive line is much improved, and if you can get that guy just a little bit, just a tiny bit of space. He's so quick, and he's got such good lateral movement, and hopefully he's back 100% healthy. That lateral movement explosiveness is still there, because if it is, man, that guy becomes a problem. It's like, how do you defend that guy? You look at it and it's like, oh, well, he's so small. Yeah, you better watch out.
Especially late in games, though, if you've had Mackay Hughes 20-25 carries into the game beating you down, and then you get a mix with Ray late in the game, third, fourth quarter, he can take 40, 50 yards, and that's devastating for the other team.
Well, like we would have guys like Michael Hayes and Ulrich, guys were just really, really quick and explosive. And those guys used to do so much damage on like inside draws, getting defenders up the field a step or two, and then being able to run right behind those guys. I just see him as a dude who can do that. And Butler, I really think it's kind of unlimited potential of what he can be, because he kind of plays like an every down back. But I love how explosive and how hard he attacks the line. That was the one thing that really stood out to me last year. And what we really needed is a guy that, he wasn't kind of picking and choosing what he was trying to do. He was getting the ball and saying, I'm just going to run into stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of times you run into our line, but I don't know. I don't think that's going to be as much of a problem this year.
No.
Unfortunately, I don't think our center is going to be 2 yards deep.
No, I don't think so. I think they're in a better spot this year at that position. But y'all guys got anything to add about the?
Is Sanford the only guy left from the Dana era? No, I think there's more. Who are the remaining guys there?
As far as scholarship guys go, Ray, I believe, is the only one on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a weird, like, I helped recruit Snacks McLean, so technically he counts, but that was Willie's first. That was the year he had to show up and
right. And there were
those guys and stuff.
Of the 4 commits that he had, I think a couple of them carried over. So I always credit the commit who signed as the previous one, because I think that's only fair.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think then, because I looked at this the other day, I believe so. Jamal Shaw was a Dana guy. Johnsley Barbas was a Dana guy. Ray was a Dana guy. And I think on the roster, as far as Latravian McCutcheon,
right.
But as far as out of high school scholarship players, I think that's it. For no melding or crossover there. I think that's it.
Butler should be good. I agree. I think he's going to be fantastic. Quick Six was the man. Y'all, I wish that there were more videos. It sounds weird that being in the aughts, video is so hard to find of these guys, because having a backfield with Ulrich in battle, that was so much fun. Because they were 2 completely different types of backs, but they were both unbelievably fast. And I've never seen someone that could beat everybody to the sideline and be able to get up the field as fast as Ulrich did. As soon as he plants that foot to go, he was gone. You can go back. You can actually see highlights of us playing Oregon at Oregon, and see some of the damage that he was doing back then. That guy could flat out fly. Bama game is on YouTube. Yeah, but I will be fair. Bama sucked ass back then. They were terrible. That was Saban's first year. I think they won 7 games. I think they were 7-5. Yeah. So let's go to wide receivers, man. We got a bunch of them. We got a big stable of wide receivers, and it was too many to list, guys. Wide receivers and tight ends.
Yeah. No.
Again, we're in uncharted territory. I don't know what to say, man. Depth. We got it.
Yeah. I mean, pass catcher, there's not a concern there. Depth wise, top end wise, the future. I mean, they've done a good job of getting players here, and Mari Thomas is number one on the totem pole at the moment for good reason. I was excited for the kind of player he was coming out of UAB when they got him in the transfer portal. Admittedly, I was a little higher on Harvey Broussard because of my my initial thoughts of him in high school when we were, when I was still employed. But Mari Thomas is great. He was really good. He has an opportunity to do something that has not been done under Willie Fritz since 2002, and that is be a 1,000-yard receiver. So at the moment, if I went through these old archives at some of these schools' websites properly, so Todd DeVoe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, at Central Missouri, had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in 2001 and 2002.
Yeah,
I went as far back to
close.
Blinn.
He was close last year, really close.
I went as far back to Blinn, and I couldn't find any stats for Blinn that far back. So back to 1997, there's been one Willie Fritz 1,000-yard receiver. He did it twice, but one guy. After that, Darnell Mooney had 993 in 2023. And then next would be Omari Thomas with 966. So
Darnell Mooney's from my hometown, Gadsden, Alabama, baby.
Yeah, he's big time. And then there's a couple of guys at Sam Houston in 2012 and 2013 who had just over 900 yards. So Amari's got a chance to make some Willie Fritz history at least. It's been a couple of decades since he's had a 1,000-yard receiver for good reason. I mean, he's known for defense and running the ball, but it's a new age.
Well, I mean, you also play to your weapons too.
Yeah. Todd DeVoe apparently was one. That dude was averaging like 20 yards a catch. I was amazed when I went back and saw he just stood out like a sore thumb. But something I noticed about Omari specifically, like obviously he had the good year, but he only had 5 more catches last year than the year before. And he had almost 300 more yards on just 5 more catches. So that's, again, going back to the average depth of target and pushing the ball downfield. When he was at UAB, his average depth of target was 7 yards. Last year it was 9.7, so almost 10 yards every time Connor was looking for him. He was at least 10 yards downfield. And so that was a big deal. He made the most of those opportunities. He and Tanner Koziel in the middle of the field just ate defenses up. And something that was different for Omari last year versus the last year at UAB, he was in the slot over 70% of the time last season. And he was only in the slot about 43% of the time at UAB. So I think, if Houston found the role that better fit him, and he made the most of it, then I don't think there's any looking back. I think he's going to be in the slot again this year, the majority of the time, with a couple of other receivers on the outside that'll help the offense and Wigman push things forward. But Omari Thomas has the chance, not like I said, to be the first 1,000-yard receiver for Willie Fritz since 2002, and Tank Dell was the last one to do it for Houston in 2022. So it's been a couple of years since they've had one here in Houston as well.
Not sure how much you've dug into the rest of the Big 12, but do you think that that's the top duo probably going into the Big 12 this year?
Oklahoma State, their duo that came over from North Texas is really good. Yeah. Mestamaker and Wyatt Young. Wyatt Young from Katy Tompkins. He was an athlete coming out of high school and obviously was under-recruited. But, I mean, that's one that I think is going to stand out. I don't know if I'm probably wrong, but I don't know if there's one that's coming back, from the year before. I don't know who Bachmeier's throwing to in BYU.
Right. That's who I was trying to think of, was if they had anybody.
Fafita maybe has somebody returning. I know Amari and Miller from Colorado transferred to Arizona State. So, guys are bouncing around, but, Oklahoma State those guys weren't in Oklahoma State uniforms last year, but they were on the same team last year. So that's something that I think they stand out to me off the top of my head. But yeah, no, Wigman and Thomas, I think we're going to compete for the best duo, the best tandem in that sense.
The Oklahoma State Mean Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's another continuity thing. Amari is coming back this year, knowing where he's going to play and what he needs to do, and that was a big thing. Ryan kept mentioning that Willie would say about Amari Thomas is he always was right. He didn't have any missed assignments. When they called to play, he did what he was supposed to do over and over and over again, and when he didn't, it stuck out because he was often so right. So that's big when your best guy is doing what he's supposed to do all the time. That's going to trickle down.
Right.
But moving on to brand new wide receiver from the transfer portal, Trent Walker came over from Oregon State, and I think he's another floor raiser kind of player. A big fan of Boogie Johnson when he was here. I was in the building with him. Good player. Things just never really worked out for him. He had bad luck. But as far as on paper, this is the best duo in Fritz's short time here, and probably since Matt Golden and Tank Dell, and probably even more productive than them. I'm probably wrong just because Tank by himself was a monster. But like I said, Trent Walker is back-to-back 800-yard seasons. And he'll spend time on the outside, probably next to Amari on the same side of the field to really throw defenses off.
If y'all remember, he chopped us up last year.
He absolutely did. Yes, we were one of his 100-yard games.
What was most impressive about getting that kid? I remember we were in for him. I was like, why is that name familiar? And I went back and I looked. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, that's that kid. And like, yeah, man, Oregon State, they kind of sucked, But I forgot that they lost a lot of games, but they lost a lot of close ones. So I went back and looked at his numbers. And he was putting up numbers against. I think he did well against. I think he had 7 or 8 catches against Cal. Had 7 or 8 catches against Texas Tech, had 7 against us for 100 yards. So the dude was making plays against bigger teams.
Yeah.
And obviously better. I mean, at that time, we were obviously 3 points better.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. No, I mean, he had a huge game last year against App State. I know that they're not the, who you're going to point out for competition, but he had
solid
13 catches for 179 yards against them right after dicing us up. But he'll be out wide. He spent most of his career out wide. He split time between the slot and out wide last year, but prior to that, over 80% of his snaps are out wide. So he'll slot in there. And he'll kind of be like a stick mover, not security blanket into the level of Koziel or even what Amari was last year. Third down, you just look for Amari. He's going to make something happen. But Trent Walker's going to be very consistent, and he's just going to be there. He had 68 catches last year, 81 the year before. Not saying he's going to have 80 catches for it. If he doesn't, that's probably a good sign. But he's going to give another option along with Amari Thomas on the outside. So
right.
And then Kobe Young, if I had to say today what they were going to do, Kobe would be opposite Walker on the outside. He got most of his snaps on the outside, over 80% of his snaps on the outside. And again, that average depth of target number I keep bringing up, his was almost 19 yards. It was 18.9. So when they threw him the ball, it was downfield. They were looking to make a play. And a lot of times he got us 15 without even catching the ball. So
exactly. Didn't even have to.
Yes.
Didn't even have to. Hey man, I think that kid, I think he is very talented. I'm looking for him to be, I think kind of like Thomas was kind of a breakout for us because, we didn't see him the year before, but I think Kobe Young is one of those that's just right there, ready to make that. I hope he can get some catches early and get his mojo going, get his get that confidence feeling because, I mean, he has no problem of breaking free.
No.
I mean, let's put it this way. A number of his pass interference calls he got because the ball was behind him. He had to slow up to get it. Now, thank goodness he was that far ahead. And I don't think it's going to be as much of a problem because it's really hard to get a lot of leverage on the ball when you're getting hit in the face trying to throw it 50 yards downfield.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I expect him to be in the same position he was in last year, sliding on the outside. When they go 3 wide, it'll be him and Walker on the outside and Thomas in the middle. At least game 1. Who knows what's going to happen after that? But that's what I would predict. And after that, I mean, you still have a good set of players. You have Harvey Broussard returning.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be year 2 in the system, comfortable with the same group of coaches with Connor Wigman. I think he'll be next guy up, probably behind Kobe Young. He's another guy. Average depth of target was 16 yards. So again, when they threw it to Harvey, they were looking to push it downfield. Most important Harvey Broussard stat: when he had a catch, the Cougs were 5-1. So just get him a catch early, and then you kind of know how the rest of the game is going to go.
Exactly. W, baby.
Yeah. But, he's another one to look out for, especially in the red zone, like the conversations we had about him last year. Big guy, huge catch radius, and he can push it downfield. And then after him, Moise Tankara was the star, I guess, of transfers. Yeah. In the spring. Ryan and I were impressed by him. I mean, fans seem to be impressed by him at the spring game. And there's good reason. He's just finally approaching his first full calendar year in college football. He reported to Florida late relative to like January.
Right.
So he's even still getting comfortable, not even at Houston, but in college football.
He reported at the normal time.
Yeah, which is so late now. But he's a big guy. I want to say 6'3", 215-ish, if I remember correctly. 6'3", 210 according to the team page. And he's fluid. He moves well in space for his size. I could see him being the next guy on the other side behind Walker. I'm not there. I don't know how they do the depth charts and who decides what, but I imagine it's based on positioning on the field. And so, Moise is going to be pushing for opportunities for those next guys up. And again, we're only kind of trying to predict day 1, but I think as the season goes on, if he keeps performing and keeps excelling and escalating his production and performance, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field because you can't coach that athletic ability at that size. I mean, that's kind of what you hope to get.
Right.
So it'll be interesting.
Just his physical stats alone. I mean, that's prototype.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly that's the prototype receiver. Yeah.
And they got him for 4 more years if he wants. So, Jacquise, is it Jacquise or Jacquise? I feel like I always mess it up, and it's always the opposite of what I intend to say. But
I thought it was Jacquise, but then again, I mispronounce everybody's.
I think it's Jacquise. I apologize, Mr. Martin, if I'm saying it wrong, but he played in a lot of games, just sparingly last year. So if it mattered anymore, he would have not been able to redshirt last year, I don't think, because he played in more than his 4 games. But he's another one. It says something that they put him on the field so often throughout the year as a true freshman that they think highly enough about him that they wanted to give him opportunities, and that's not going to go away. And we are now 6 names deep of receivers we're discussing. So if he doesn't see the field, it's not a matter of lack of talent. I just think the room is so deep now after adding the guys that they've added.
We've got enough. We've got enough pass catchers, and I say enough. There's no such thing. We've got a lot of dudes who can run. We got a lot of dudes who can play. We got a lot of dudes who can catch the ball. What it's going to come down to is who's going to block out of the receiver group. Who is willing to go block downfield? Because that's where you're going to make your money in this offense to get yourself more snaps. Are you doing your assignment? Your assignment will, a lot of times in this offense, is going to include making blocks downfield, and you're going to have to do that. And if you can do that, you will play more.
Yeah.
And if you're playing, that means you're going to get a chance to get open. Whenever you get open, you're going to get the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, no block, no rock. I'm sure they preach that.
Absolutely.
Sure Coach Bell is letting them know that that's the case. The last name, I guess, is Tyson Turner he's a Texas Tech transfer.
Okay.
In 2 years, he's only played 51 offensive snaps in Lubbock, but another big guy, 6'2", 215. He was a very good track athlete in high school. I think if I remember correctly, he was a high jumper. I don't know if it was 6'10", but he high jumped over 6 feet in high school. He's just a really good athlete again at that size, 6'2", 215. Maybe he doesn't see a lot of the field this year, but he's a guy that's got 3 more years of eligibility, so he's in the plans, I would imagine. And then after that, you have your true freshmen, Jeremiah Bushnell and Kevon, I think, Kevon from Port Arthur Memorial, and Jeremiah Bushnell. I think we know somebody from his hometown. I think he's from Iowa. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a good list of receivers, both proven and just talent-wise, for Wigman to have at his disposal, and Keyshawn whenever he gets the opportunities.
When does camp start?
I'm terrible about those kinds of dates because I kind of I'm like, oh, it's starting because I see it, but I want to say it's early August.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying a few weeks. And you and Ryan will both be out there for that. I think y'all are gonna. I'm looking forward to those things starting and getting y'all's report back from those, because I think this camp is probably going to be the most competitive camp that we've had in ages, just because there's solidified starters in key positions, but there's a lot of competition, really good competition for guys fighting to get that next shot.
Yes. And depth in the sense that, of course, the coaches want their best players healthy, but if for some reason somebody goes down, they're going to be happy giving that next guy the opportunity with the idea that he's capable of doing what they need him to do.
I mean, you would love to have 6 guys ready to go where you could rotate them in and out, where you feel comfortable throwing every single one of them out there in any situation.
And I don't think that that's been true for at least a few seasons.
Long time.
Yeah. I mean, good receiver group. Wigman, I think, is going to have a great time this year with, throwing to those guys. And continuing on the pass catcher route, let's get to tight ends. Tanner Koziel's gone. He was great in the year that he was here, but now he's the enemy because he's a Jacksonville Jaguar, at least to me. But good luck to him. But Patrick Overmeyer from UTSA came over in the transfer portal, and he's near and dear to my heart because when I had a job with the Cougars in scouting, he's somebody that stood out to me. He went to Kingwood Park High School, and he was a quarterback, long, skinny kid. And you can just kind of see he's probably not a quarterback, not because he's a bum or anything, but he's athletic enough and tall enough that he should probably be catching the ball. And things didn't work out for him his senior year. He was supposed to be the quarterback, but I think the quarterback at the time transferred high schools or something crazy. So he ended up having to be the quarterback. So he missed that year of playing tight end or receiver that he would have gotten, but it's worked out for him. He went to UTSA, and he had 2.
UTSA is good. It's a good school.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a good program that's
they
coached
love
well.
the tight end there too.
Yeah.
But he had 2 solid years there. And he's different than Koziel in that Koziel is kind of just like a giant. He's like a refrigerator on the field with arms. Can't really move him. He's just gigantic, and Connor just knew as long as he was there, he just got to just put it in the area, and he's going to come down with it. And he's going to take the 3 hits coming his way, and he's just going to get back up the next play and keep him moving. Overmeyer's a more lean, twitchy athlete than Koziel. He's still big at 6'5", 230. Of course, it's not like a small human by any means.
Well, yeah, but
6'8".
he's not the relative size. You had a real legit monster.
Yeah, yeah. Koziel was unique in that way. That's just huge. But Overmeyer is going to do more again in discussing the average depth of target and pushing the ball downfield. I think he's going to do better to stretch the middle of the field. So maybe your Amari is underneath, getting open quick. Koziel's or Overmeyer's pushing the seam. It'll open things up in the middle for them to continue to exploit it like they did last year. Things weren't necessarily congested, but teams could kind of sit a little bit more knowing Koziel was going to be in that intermediate middle of the field. And so, you can kind of target that. But if you have somebody, your tight end is pushing downfield and exploiting, maybe a weakness, and you can't just rest on knowing that you can keep up with him because he's going to, he's fast. That's going to matter a lot. And he's similar usage-wise to what Koziel, how he was used last year. So they both are about 50% in the slot, actually, like outside of the line, not touching. And Overmeyer was in line, on the line, about 42%. And Koziel was a lower number than I thought. It was 37% of the time he was in line tight end. It felt like he was there more, but obviously, numbers don't lie. And so that's going to be interesting as well, because there's going to be situations where you have three receivers out, but one of them is going to be Overmeyer in the slot. And maybe, you're technically four receivers because Overmeyer comes off of the line to play in the slot. And that kind of stuff is going to obviously give you a weapon to throw to, but it's going to open up the box. A linebacker might have to shift out with him to cover him. A safety might have to go out to cover him. And you now have a lighter box for Mekhi Hughes to run in, or Connor Wigman, or whoever it may be. So those kinds of things, they're going to continue. The Houston offense is going to continue to run the way that it has. And Overmeyer is not going to really be a fall off in terms of talent or ability. I don't think he's going to get the targets that Koziel got, because there's more mouths to feed now. And Koziel, again, like we said, he's just a very unique player where you could just give him a jump ball. Like, he could just box guys out, all the basketball analogies and terminology you can use. But Overmeyer is going to bring a more explosive element, I think, to the offense. In his last 2 years, he had 58 catches for 627 yards and 8 touchdowns over 2 seasons. I'm not saying he's going to have 60 catches, but I think this season his potential could be eclipsing those 2 years in just this one production-wise. So that'll be interesting. And then, past that, it's all your returning guys. Luke McGarry is coming back from an injury. He was tight end too last year before he got hurt against Oklahoma State. And, he's just blocking his ass off. 117 of his 203 snaps were run blocking. Yeah. So he's going to keep doing that. They're going to keep asking him to do that. We run a lot of 2 tight end sets too. Yeah, and I think that's going to continue. And he's going to be that player for them. He had 3 catches on 7 targets in 5 games. So it's, he's okay to just bully guys in the paint, be an inline blocker. Okay. So, and I think that's what he's going to continue to do. You have Caleb Thomas and Traville Frederick returning, and they kind of filled in for McGarry down the stretch, doing the same thing. Between Thomas and Frederick, they were targeted twice and had 1 touchdown. And both of those were Traville Frederick against LSU in the bowl game. So they're okay. They're not greedy. They're okay not getting some targets. But I think it's going to look similar to last year, passing wise and target wise, except that you now have Trent Walker, who's going to be able to win on the outside. And so all that stuff is just going to make things easier for everybody, right? It's like, to use a basketball analogy, Jayme, if I'm wrong in how I'm saying this, please let me know. But, if you have guys that can't shoot, you can just stay in the paint and can rebound the ball. But as soon as you have shooters, those defenders have to come out. It opens things up. You get your one-on-one opportunities, and you can get to the basket. In this sense, where teams could, over the top, a safety on Amari all season last year because they knew that was the deep threat. he's still going to get the attention because he's the number one target. But you can only leave Trent Walker one-on-one for so long. You can only leave Kobe Young one-on-one for so long. Overmeyer is going to be – he's going to be too big for safeties and too fast for linebackers. And then once you spread out to cover them, again, you're leaving a light box for Mekhi Hughes to operate in. And, you know, Wigman has shown he can get the ball out. He can make a good decision. And I just think that spells very, very good opportunities for the offense to improve upon what they did last year. And that's kind of insane to say. They won 10 games. So
when even with a struggling offense, I mean, Dean Connors almost had 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Thomas had almost 1,000 yards. And we know that we were playing with a fresh, new, brand new, less talented offensive line. Those guys gave everything that they got. I think we got every ounce of ability out of those guys. As much as they could possibly do, they did. I mean, they left it out there. But I think we have a better, you know, kind of the theme of everything of tonight is the floor is rising.
Yeah.
And these guys have a higher ceiling also. If that continues to improve, there's no telling what these guys could do. And you know, I want to say that our offense is going to look like it did last year. I don't know that. I really don't know that. Because it could look even more. I mean, well, it will look more dynamic because we've got more weapons and we've got a deeper pool of weapons and different types of weapons that we can use. So I don't know. That's the beautiful thing about this is that I have expectations, but I don't think we've seen. I mean, I think we've seen maybe a handful of pages of this playbook.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's like imagine what they could do here. Texas Double Tap says we may throw the ball every down. You know what? We might. And we want the key thing is we want the defense to be able to think that.
Yeah.
We want to give the reason. We want to give the defense a reason to do that, or we want the defense to think that, damn, they just loaded at running back, and that they're going to plow through us. Okay, stack the box. I dare you.
You want, you want the illusion that you could do either at any time. You know, you want the other team to believe that you're not predictable. You know, it's 2nd and 1 is like where you want to be, and hey, we can hand it to Mekhi and get this easy one, or we can play action and throw it deep.
I mean, we were very predictable in what we were going to do last year. We were going to try to protect the ball first and foremost. We were going to try to bore you to tears and make you fall asleep, and then try to hit you. But this team can be aggressive. It might still look like we're going to just push it right down people's throats. Okay. When they make an adjustment, we can adjust too. But we do have the talent to be able to force the action.
Yeah. Yeah, just to kind of round out the tight end group, you have Wyatt Herbell returning, Ja'Cory Thurman returning. Those are both freshmen last year. Ryan mentioned last season a couple of times, I think, that in-house the staff thought that Wyatt Herbell was probably the fastest tight end on the roster, at least last season. And you know, he's buried in the depth chart because there's they just have good players. Ja'Cory Thurman, you know, he didn't have any opportunities last year because of the depth. And Scoop Martin, who they got, he's an incoming freshman. He has a chance to develop into one of the better tight ends in recent history for Houston as time goes. I don't know that those opportunities will come this year again because we've just listed all these names of guys that not only are we expect to see the field, but saw the field for this roster last year. So, again, it's kind of like talking about receiver. You may not see some of these guys right away, but it's not because they're not, you know, they're bereft of talent. It's just there's other guys. It's kind of where you want to be. Now the problem becomes keeping them here, but if that's the problem, then cool.
And here's the beautiful thing about it is that we're now at a point to where, okay, so, somebody's not going to get as many snaps as they want this year. But guess what? They are ready. We now have guys ready to take over. We don't have to attack the portal as hard for every single position. We can be very choosy in where we go after portal additions instead of just saying, here's a shotgun, we need everybody.
Right.
But we got guys ready. I mean, we, without even going into the depth of as far as, classes go, we got a lot of returning talent for the year after this too.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah. That's kind of what I wrote about. I don't know. It's been a couple weeks now, probably, and looking ahead to like the 2027 roster and how the 2027 recruiting class is shaking out at the moment, and maybe where, portal needs are going to present themselves. There aren't a lot of spots where it's like, man, we really need to get somebody here in the portal because of who's on the roster and who's potentially coming, assuming everybody stays committed and signs.
Right.
And that's where you want to be, because you can either pinpoint adding a star, using your money, whatever the proper way to phrase that is, or you can just continue to build in the house and keep your guys happy at home.
Right.
And the coaching staff believes that they're getting good players, so they're going to want to keep them, and that's a good place to be. But I think now we're getting to the true meat of where this team has improved and what everybody wants to know. Let's get into the O-line.
Let's do it.
Do we need to pay any bills real quick before we get into the O-line? I know I've been rambling for a while.
Star Pizza. Guys, it's almost time. Camp's coming up. You know what you got to do to get ready for camp? Carb up, boys. Carb up. So belly up, grab a salad, Well, I don't think they use Taylor Farms. So you're good to go. But they'll tell you just in case. But no, I think their stuff is clean. Get you a salad. Even if you did have, it's just a cleanse. It's just a nice cleanse.
For fun.
It's fine, I look at it as a great little weight loss,
Like drinking a green juice.
But go hit those guys up. They're always good to us, and it's just delicious, man. I had the fettuccine Alfredo with chicken last week, and I hadn't had that in a while.
Yes.
Oh my goodness gracious, that is so good. That is the best nap food I've ever had. Next to my mom's roast. My mom's
nice
pot roast is fantastic. To go hit those guys up, the Ritz, hit those guys up too. Get your lunch special. Steak night, fantastic. Delicious ribeye. And some adult beverages, and enjoy some music. Have a good time. But make sure at both of those places you're rocking Section 12X. Good thing about Section 12X, people are going to want to come up and talk to you because you look good. But, if somebody doesn't want to talk to you and look good, they can always step into Section 12X and get punched in the face. It's just the way things roll. So Section 12X, the Ritz, Star Pizza, thank you guys. Everybody, go get some. On to the offensive line. Speaking about punching you in the face.
And carbon up. Yeah. So I think and Ryan has mentioned this in the past, the most impactful player.
Jamie's drinking a 40.
Yeah. The most impactful single player and probably the best individual player on the offense now is going to be Shadre Hurst. Coming in from Tulane, has experience with the staff. They recruited him out of high school. He played for them for a little bit. But, one of the big stats with him is he has allowed 1 sack in 1,224 pass blocking reps. That's pretty good. Last year, he had a 90.5 pass blocking grade per PFF. Again, another good number. Good run blocker as well. Going back to the PFF grades, he was 79.3 and 80.9 over the last 2 years. So your interior is vastly improving with him showing up alone. He's going to be your starting left guard. He has some experience at center. If for whatever reason the starting center goes down, he can slide over and play some center, and he'll do it well. But yeah, I really think he is arguably the best player on the entire offense, maybe the team, and they're lucky to get him in the portal. He's going to have a big impact. He's been on some preseason All-American things, and I think some draft boards. He's making some buzz, but he's a very good athlete. He, as I mentioned, and when I wrote about the O lineman that they signed, he can do what they say punch above his weight class. He's only listed at 295, relative to today's O lineman. That's on the lighter side. He's 6'2", 295, but you wouldn't know looking at the film. I mean, he puts guys on their butt. He gets downfield when he pulls. I mean, he's 10, 15 yards downfield in front of the running back. Going to be welcome for this team. I'm sure Mekhi Hughes is going to love playing with him again after what they did, in Tulane together. But he's got a chance to be an All-American as well. So this is a very, very good player to add to your offensive line. The weakest point on your roster the last couple seasons. I think that's fair to say. I don't think that's going out on a limb to say that the offensive line struggled more than the other position groups. But he's going to be a very welcome addition. He's going to be big time. He's going to allow, some of that pulling stuff to go on, and then, like I said, get in front of running backs downfield. And then I think a more underrated signing is right tackle Drew Terrell from Miami, Ohio. I wrote about it or talked about it last year. I don't remember the specifics, but coming into the season, not a single player on the offensive line had played a snap at right tackle last year. They brought in some guys in the portal to, at tackle to play, but none of them have played right tackle. So they kind of were learning on the fly. And, it's not as simple as playing on one side of the field as a receiver versus the other. You have to kind of learn how to, quote unquote, walk again, coming off the line and that kind of stuff. So it's
drop
it's
steps
tough
different, punch hands different.
So, Dalton Merriman was figuring it out as he was going, and he did a decent job for what he was asked to do. Guy played a lot of snaps at left tackle. But that's big. Drew Terrell has not only played right tackle, but he was an all-conference. He was second team All-MAC last year. Looking at him, he himself in 428 pass blocking reps last year, he allowed 3 sacks. That's pretty good. So you've improved at left guard now. You've improved at right tackle, and then they lost their center, Demetrius Hunter, to Colorado. And I would argue they've, based on statistics and then film and whatnot, they upgraded at center as well with Anthony Boswell from Toledo. He was freshman All-American, first team, per the Athletic. Everybody has an All-American team now, but, the Athletic deemed him the best center freshman in the country. And he was All-MAC first team. He started his career at Purdue, and year 2 at Toledo, he transferred. That was his first opportunity to play, and he was good. He didn't allow a sack all last year. So between him and Hurst, you have 1 sack allowed in 1,700 snaps. So, the spot right in front of Connor Wigman is going to be pretty safe next year, coming off the snap, passing the ball. And so that's a big deal. You want him to be upright as much as possible and not have to make quicker decisions than he wants. And even though he's shown that he can make the right decision most of the time. So, that's what you want for your quarterback, is to be comfortable.
Yep.
But yeah, looking at some of the numbers for Boswell, looking at his PFF stats, he was, according to PFF, the 10th best center in the country, 17th best pass blocking center, and 3rd best run blocking center in the country. So not bad when you look at him across all players at his position in the nation. And again, he was just a redshirt freshman last year, so he's got 3 more years of eligibility potentially. So you're not just getting a rental. Hurst and Terrell, unfortunately, only have 1 year left themselves, but still overall you're getting improvements at 3 spots of 3 of your 5 starters on the offensive line are in some form all conference or even all American players.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, Alvin Abusele, no big deal, played all 13 games for you and played 957 snaps, and you get him back. And I think he's still 6'8" every day he wakes up. So if nothing else, he's 6'6", 312 is what he's listed at. But nothing else, he's long, and so it's going to make that loop around the edge for the pass rusher a little bit longer just by nature of that.
Well, I think that outside of all the stuff that we know, we can see the stats, we can see the size, we can see that these guys have had success between Terrell, Agnello, Boswell, and Hurst. All of them made first or second team all conference wherever they've come from. So they've been the best of where they were. So that is a huge sign. But I think with Agnello being second year in this offense, Hurst coming back, being tied into this whole thing, I think they help both the guys around them with Boswell and Emeselli on the left side and Terrell and Boswell on the right side, because so much of the offensive line is communication and guys not only knowing what each other's going to do, but trusting they're going to do their job and knowing when to help and when not to help. And that was what, watching them last year, early on in the season, they barely knew what they individually were supposed to be doing, because you have to think, early on, you've got to think about it. And then you've got to be able to develop the chemistry of knowing this guy's going to do this, and that if you're anticipating, you change the call on the offensive line blocking scheme, that you've got to shift one way or the other. Are you trusting that guy to be there? And so with 2 guys with experience in this offense, 3 guys now, I think you're going to have a lot better communication, but then also really high skill guys that can help out when needed and then can at least be able to take care of their job. I think this offensive line will look more at the start what we look like it by week 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the bowl game type offensive line that we saw, which was dominant. You start to see that sooner in the season, hopefully around game 4 or 5, hopefully by game 3, because that's when you're really going to need it. So we don't have a repeat, but it fits right in the theme of things. The floor is rising, it's getting better. You're going to see it. I think you're going to see a group that's going to look more end game-ish as opposed to just noobs trying to figure everything out on the fly.
Right. Yeah, no. Yeah, and like you said, rounding it out, Agnella's going to be the right guard. And again, this is all day one assumptions. They would love if somebody performed better and supplants one of these guys at his position, but I would guess that these are the 5 across the board that we're going to see. And outside of that, it's tough to predict who even the 2 deep is. You assume that, maybe a Larry Crawford is going to be lined up somewhere at guard, 2 deep wise. He played a little bit last year. He had 25 snaps in 6 games. And he's the most experienced outside of the 5 starters. Hingano Hautau played a game last year. He played 7 snaps, and then Snacks McLean played 10 snaps in 2 games last year. Outside of that, nobody's had any snaps.
Right.
But, you're looking at like Hayden Wright, who came in from Northwestern, local kid from Kingwood. Maybe he's competing for swing tackle. Demetrius Dean was a 4-star in the 2025 class. Maybe he's pushing for left guard somewhere in the interior. And then you have, Sean Terrell in that same class, and RJ Lee, who's 6'8", 335.
Right.
Maybe, he's looking to get, one of those tackle positions.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard good things from, inside the building that, Noah, BB, Rhett Gray, Aaron Wolford, Troy Pless, the incoming freshmen, have bought in, and they're making strides, and they are, what Willie asked for, they're doing. So there's good signs that they're making development strides there. But the 2 deep, even the 3 deep, the offensive line is going to be tough to talk accurately about right now, because I think they're still figuring it out. They're
Right.
still deciding who it is that it's going to be, pushing for these spots.
Well, I think a
obviously,
lot of these guys can play a number of different positions. Like Agnello, I know he can play. He played most of the year in New Mexico State at center.
Yeah.
I know he can also get out to tackle as well. Hurst can move over to center as well. God forbid anything happens to anybody, you've got a lot of flexibility of where you can play guys, and you just never know where they're going to pop in. And at the end of the day, if they're performing in practice, it's kind of a crapshoot to how they're going to perform in a game until they get in the game.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and there's emphasis there on the versatility. They cross-train these guys position-wise so that if something comes up, they can trust them to play one of the other positions. Instead of just pigeonholing guys and then being stuck if something happens to multiple tackles and you don't have anybody else that can play tackle. But I mean, not to sound doom and gloom about the 2 deep, at offensive line, you kind of want 5 guys playing the entire year.
Absolutely.
And I would say the
Except
5
for blowout.
guys. Yeah, but I would say the 5 guys that they're moving forward with across the board as we have it, Abasele, Hurst, Boswell, Agnello, and Terrell, overall that's an upgrade to what, they put on the field last year. Numbers show it, hopefully on the field, once they actually start to play the games and snap the ball, it shows it as well, because that is also going to raise the floor. You're going to be able to do more if you have more time. And, not that Abasele is a bad athlete. He's just a big human. But I think the other 4 are all very good, agile athletes. So you can see a lot of moving the offensive line on run plays and getting out in front and screens and stuff like that.
You mean, hold on. You mean we're going to have offensive linemen that might be able to get to the second level and take care of cleanup linebackers before it's too late?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you guys, like I said, if you want
got guys who can get downfield and seal off the backside on a sweep.
Yeah.
You got guys who are going to be able to lead it down there and not run into them a yard off the line. Boy, that just gets me excited right there.
Yeah, exciting times. I mean, like I said, we wrote about the 4 transfers being Hurst, Boswell, Terrell, and Hayden Wright. But there's film clips of the 3 that have played in Hurst, Boswell, and Terrell, what they're capable of. And Hurst especially, man, I mean, he gets downfield and he's running down there with DBs and putting down, dragging them blindside-esque outside of, the field of play. So there's, CFP isn't out of the realm of possibility. You got to win your games and get to the conference championship game first. And if you do that, then you can have that conversation. But I do think it's fair as fans to be excited about the possibility of being at the Big 12 championship. Texas Tech is going to be an early test, hurdle, obstacle, whatever phrase you want to use. And if the O-line can hold up against that defensive line with the players that they're able to bring in, I mean, they just reloaded. There's tons of talent. They could have had every defensive lineman for Texas Tech be the preseason All-America, preseason Big 12 team, and I would have understood. So if they hold up and Wigman is able to operate against them, that's going to say a lot about what this team is going to be able to do.
Star Pizza, 30 years a customer, two-star 2 Starburst pizzas fed a family of 5 for 3 days. You hear that, guys? Now, I'm not a small dude, but if I get a large pizza, I usually get a sausage pepperoni with extra cheese. When I get a large pizza, I can eat it for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not a small dude. I look like more offensive lineman than I do linebacker. So yeah, it's you can eat on it forever. Let's see here. Adam Trick looks like a real dude on that D line for Tech. Okay.
Yeah, that tells us, that just more tells the story of if they can hold up against that D line, then that'll set the tone for the rest of the year with what that offensive line is.
Here's what I got to say about that. Guns up. Yeah, I mean they're going to be a test. I'm still salty about losing our defensive coordinator, but I like what we got.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Well, next week we will jump into similar same type thing, but we're going to go over on the defensive side, and that'll be interesting to look at because I know a lot less about the defense. So that will be fun. It'll be educational to me. Speaking of educational, Jayme, we got some basketball stuff, don't we?
We
got
do.
Got some stuff for the old men coming up, don't? They're back in their stride, doing some interviews.
Yes, we do. Tomorrow, big podcast coming out. Really, really special guest that Coug fans are going to want to definitely get in there and check out. I think we actually have a short clip. You got
a little
anything
taste?
for?
Got a little taste. Here's a little free crack.
I would say that it was just time, I felt like, to start my career, and I kind of wanted to get going when I was young. That way I have a lot of time to learn and work my way up in the industry. And I would say that one of the biggest things, like the adjustment, it's always tough because you don't realize like it's done until it's done.
Yeah.
But I would say one thing that made it easier was staying within the program. So I was like blessed by Coach Sampson and the staff that they put me in the graduate assistant role for 2 years because I feel like I had to learn the coaching side, but I didn't have to learn the culture side.
That's right.
Man, he needs no introduction, but he is the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan Elvin. And,
Coach Ryan Elvin will be the first featured guest for the old men this year. I got a sneak peek, got to listen to the interview today. It's great stuff. Not going to give away too much, but he did discuss the Texas A&M NCAA game where he goes in to make 1 or 2 free throws to go up by 4 to seal the deal. Speaking of breaking news, LJ Cryer just goes to the line, hits 1 of 2 free throws to go up by 4 to win the Summer League championship, and apparently you get a ring for that.
What?
So, apparently you get a ring. So,
well, I mean, if they're going to hand out trophies, you got to get one, right?
So congrats to LJ for adding yet another ring to his collection. But everybody check in tomorrow. Awesome show on the Old Men podcast with Coach Ryan Elvin. Just a couple of things to look forward to. You hear about the A&M game. His dad's A's to play rule that he had growing up. I thought that was really cool. He talks about the new guys, and then best of all, there's some Star Pizza talk involved. So check in. Yeah, check in here.
If y'all don't remember, he was the face. He was one of the first guys on there.
Yeah. Yep. So check it out. It's really, really good. Just learning about him, learn about his upbringing, his path to U of H, some fun insights from his time there, and then where he's looking to go from here. So really cool. I was really, the one thing that really impressed me about Ryan as a player was I got to go, they're showing the Summer League ring right now, which is so dumb. Whatever.
Hold on one second, Jay. Let me, Martin, you got anything else left? I know I want to, your little one is going, and I want to make sure you can go see her to sleep first. I don't want to keep you any longer.
I appreciate y'all. Y'all look out for next week with the defense. And I saw a comment about the kicking game. We can't do that without Ryan. So
yeah, that's Connor knows better. Connor, you should know better than that. Ryan gets to talk kicking game. He likes the specialist. So I don't want to step on his toes there because that's his domain.
No.
It's like talking about food.
Yeah. Appreciate you, brother.
That's me.
Yeah.
Martin, thank you for all the work, man. We do appreciate it. Make sure you go check out Martin on his socials. Also, take a look at GoCoogs.com/recruiting. Go ahead and sign up for that. Hit us on the old YouTube. Hit that follow. Hit that like if you like the episode. Also, ring that bell. Get notified of all the stuff coming up because we are going to be. It's that time of year, man. We're starting to crank it up. The No Conference for Old Men guys are back in business. They are rested and recuperated after disappointing into the basketball season last year. But they got a hot one coming out tomorrow. Got another really good one in the works right now. I think it's already in the can. I haven't been privy to it, but I was told that we got some good stuff coming. So they're going to be releasing some stuff here pretty soon. We'll have one or two of the guys on there if they're willing to jump on with us and kind of talk about what's going on with those guys.
Nice.
So anybody else? Is Summer League over with now that they're passing out?
That's still the deal. Apparently, they already have the rings there, like ready to give out. So I guess you don't get sized for it. I guess they just give you a ring. So it's kind of like my nephew's,
like a ring from a gumball ring or something.
Yeah, it's like my nephew's 4-year-old T-ball World Series, where you get rings now if you win your.
Really?
Let's save the rings for like state championships in high school and for college national conference championships and NBA. Like, let's save them for special occasions so that they mean something. Like, I guess I'm just old man yelling at the clouds, but
I guess, yeah. I mean, I've got a bunch. I guess back in my day, we got those little trophies or whatever. You know, little bitty baseball player on a deal, or
yes.
I don't know if they give out trophies now. I liked it better when they do like little medals. Medals.
Yeah, medals were cool.
Medals work because, you know, they don't take up a lot of space. The baseball trophies took up a lot of space. Now, the ones where you actually won something, you won your, you know, like won the World Series or the regionals or something like that. Those were cool. But like for a just some regular tournament, 4th of July weekend tournament or something like that, it's like, but then again, you know, I was on a good team, so we collected them like Pokemon.
My favorite thing about like my nephew's league and all these little leagues is it's the World Series. But next week we're also going to play in the World Series 2 counties over. So get ready for another World Series. I was like, "Where's Team Japan? Are they not here today?" Or
it's like, well, we've got it. We don't play in the Little League organization, but we got a Babe Ruth World Series, we got a Connie Mack World Series. We got all these different organizational World Series or whatever.
Yeah.
And back then, we would have to choose. We're going to play in a league, and that was it. But now the players are just playing in all of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Which, I mean, well, that gets into another one of my things. I think kids are playing way too many games.
Yeah.
Burning way too many pitchers. Tommy John surgery has become it's such a common surgery now that it's no big deal that
Right.
people are like, it's almost like a qualifier. It's like,
Yeah.
Have you had Tommy John surgery? You haven't had Tommy John surgery? Well, what have you been doing?
Right.
Hold your arm up. Do you got a zipper? Nope.
Oh, me.
Back then, in the 90s, early 90s, dude, Tommy John surgery worked, but there was still a big risk that if you got it, you probably done.
You probably are.
Now it's like, oh yeah, well no, you needed Tommy John surgery to get 4 miles an hour on your fastball.
Right. Crazy.
Speaking of, looks like Will Davis is signing a bunch of dudes.
Yep. I'm trying to get him one.
Some of them look pretty damn good, but like I said a long time ago, I've learned that baseball is the biggest toss-up of. There's some guys that you just flat out know, okay, this guy's going to be a stud no matter what. But baseball's really for 80% of the players out there, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Yep. I'm trying to get him one. One of my buddy's sons, he's a sophomore in Orlando, and they're very interested. I know Baylor's already been on him a little bit, but I think August 1st is when things get real. So I think he sent him some highlight stuff. He's going to be, I think he's like a top 20 kid in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Stealing
out of UCF's backyard.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be huge. I think he'd love to go to Miami, or he's got family in Nashville too. So Vanderbilt's up there, but his dad wants him to come out here because he wants to move out here and hang out with us. So
even better.
We'll see.
That top down pressure.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Man.
We'll see.
I can't really think about anything else. Summer's winding down, man. The summer of Towns 250. Not my weight, by the way. I'm much heavier. Don't I wish, God, if I was 250, it'd be almost like being back in college again. But the summer's winding down, dude. It's been a nice haul. I've been enjoying this.
No doubt.
I'm gonna have to mind my P's and Q's whenever Ryan comes back. But then again, we know what we all know I won't. I'll be more off the chain since he'll be producing it. He'll be calling all the shots.
When we started this, we were going to get into all this crazy talk, all this alien, all this stuff. I know we try not to go too far off the deep end.
Well, the thing is we actually it's been one of those summers, and I was talking to Ryan about this today. That with the way that the season ended, then knowing that we had World Cup coming, and then the UFC event started lining up, and then the Sorsby situation took everything by storm. And then all the changes with the NCAA. There was just so much topics to talk about. It's like, man, I thought we were just going to be searching for stuff. I told you tonight we were going to end it. I might be able to get to an hour out of this.
Yeah.
And here we are 2 hours later.
Right. Give me two athletes that you could see being from outer space or from the ocean, I think. Not really outer space.
Leo Messi. Without a doubt. He makes no sense.
Yeah.
He's just a little bitty fella. Man, he had to take growth hormones whenever he went out of Rosario, whenever he went to Barcelona.
So they have on. This isn't from the dark web. This is from Fox News. They're saying there's 4 different types of aliens. Are you saying he might be one of the grays? I think that's what they're called.
What's a gray? What is that?
The smaller stature. So I guess they have reptilians. They have insectoids, Nordics, and grays.
Great.
I guess
Well, I mean, Erling Haaland would be the Nordic, obviously.
Yes, 100%. That was good. That was going to be my one, and I think Wimby is insectoid.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. He's definitely. I think I saw him on what was the one with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones?
Yes. Men in Black.
Men in Black. Yeah, I think he was in that.
Yeah. Those were going to be my two. Those were going to be my two guys, Wimby and the guy from Norway.
I would say John Jones, but I just think he's just an insane American badass.
Yeah.
I was never a fan of it. See, the funny thing is that all these elite players, except for Leo Messi, but all these elite players, as they're through a lot of their career, I freaking hated them. Hated them all. Yeah. I hated Jordan. I hated him because I was a Dominique fan.
Yeah.
And man, Jordan just was so good I hated Tom Brady forever.
I love Brady.
Because I hated New England.
Yeah.
But I hated him. But they just become so good you can't deny it. Same thing with Tiger Woods. I hated Tiger Woods when he was young. Just, brash, cocky. And I was a David Duval fan. I was a big Ernie Els fan. But man, they're just so good that you can't help it. It's like, I'm just a fan of greatness. At some point, you just have to sit back and say, I'm watching one of the best to ever do it. So you just gotta same thing with like Greg Maddux. I wasn't a very big fan of his when he was with Chicago, but I became a fan of when he was in Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah, he's the reason why I wore 31 in sports.
I did like Smoltzy when he was at Detroit, probably because I had like 25 of his rookie cards.
Nice.
He was like a common rookie in the top packs back then.
Nice.
And then Upper Deck. Yeah, that was back when Upper Deck had just started.
Yeah. Nice. I would say Brock Lesnar would be another probable Nordic.
Yeah, that dude's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be it wouldn't surprise me if he is, but then again, it wouldn't surprise me if he was just kind of born out of stone. He was like the stone version of an orc.
Yes. Yes. Well, I wanted to take us down the deep end before we signed up for the night.
The funny thing is that they released all these alien files, and everybody's like, "Yeah, so what?"
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right. Let's talk about something else.
This has been a crazy off season. So many storylines across different sports. It has, and it's been fantastic. I mean, yeah, I love the World Cup. I'm looking. I think I saw they were talking about Copa America possibly coming back to the U.S. in the next cycle, which would be in 2 years. That'd be cool. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Who knows? That might be Messi's farewell. Who knows?
Sure.
I don't know, but it's over with, and we're on to stuff. And I think we're pretty much out of topics, guys. I really appreciate y'all taking the time again on Sunday to come and chill with us. Thanks again to Star Pizza, Section 12X, the Ritz. Your support means everything. We really do appreciate it. Pizza got a taste of income in the U.S. dollars, and now they want some more. You're absolutely right. That and the fact that we have massive stadiums that have air conditioning. Yeah. that fill up. I think that was the one thing that stood out to me the most about this World Cup is that even whenever you looked at the Qatar World Cup, as you got into the group stages, you had some of the less attractive matchups, like half empty stadium. I don't want to say half empty, but there were a lot of open seats in some stadiums. Sure. But here, every single game was packed. I mean, the only time that the stadium wasn't completely packed was in Canada, and because they were in direct sunlight and they were all up underneath Kind of like our
Yeah.
excuse for our attendance is that everybody was in the concourse, but that was actually true. That and they're paying thousands of dollars for tickets. But yeah, I mean, they printed money.
Yeah.
And you don't have to build any new stadiums, and you don't have to worry about the bad press after they leave and say, "Hey, look, this giant cathedral that they built, yeah, it's all decrepit now. 5 years later, nothing's been played in it." And we don't have to make soccer stadiums out of shipping containers.
Sure.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much again. Jayme, I really do appreciate it. Everybody, big round of applause for Martin. He puts in a lot of work. Go check him out on GoCoogs.com/recruiting. This is Brad again. I appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all next time. Go Cougs.
Oops.
Wait, maybe you can describe to the fans, how has that experience been for you these past 6 years? Because it's been just at the most elite years of the program.
Yeah, the experience has been just a dream come true, honestly. When Coach Sampson and Coach Kenlin first proposed the idea to me of walking on, I couldn't have imagined it went this well. So I'm extremely blessed that I got put in this scenario and that it's worked out the way it has. I would say I was already coming into a great program, so the role I played was probably very minimal and all that. But
I don't know about that.
it was super. They got Coach Sampson and the rest of the staff. They had it rolling. When I came on my visit, I saw how good of a culture they had already instilled. So that was something that I really enjoyed about the program. But just the past 6 years, just all the connections, all the relationships I made with teammates, staff, and everybody that you meet along the journey has been special. And I think that when I was young, I used to dream of that type of scenario, watching college players and how it looks from the outside looking in, and then to be a part of it at the highest level and be a part of a program that has had the success that it's had over the past few years has been awesome. And like I said, a dream come true.